And today, in addition to wonderful Monique, we are joined by a number of FAO Goodwill ambassadors, champions, food heroes, as well as artists with whom we've collaborated with on some really exciting projects, including the new FAO Food and Agriculture Museum and Network. Please join me in welcoming them and thanking them for their dedication and incredible work. Thank you.
You have, of course, seen in our slideshow, but we would like to acknowledge Queen Letizia, who is right in front of me, His Majesty King Letzi III of Lesotho, and Her Royal Highness, Princess of Georgia. Thank you very much for being one of our first key FAO Goodwill ambassadors and being here all of the time, every time we have this event. You are always, as the Director General has said many time and time again, you are standing steadfast by us. Thank you very much, and by the work that all of you do here at FAO. We'd like to welcome back the Director General. Thank you very much, and we will move on to our next segment now.
We also send online greetings to Thailand, where the Princess is also online joining us today, having just celebrated World Food Day in Bangkok. That's Princess Mahachakri Sirindorn. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you all, and thank you, Monique. Your incredible support and really valuable contributions do so much for advocacy, do so much to raise awareness, and do so much also for action. Thank you.
Well, and thank you, Richard. I'm brand new here, but you have been here for over 25 years, and that is incredible. Yeah.
So the thing that works best is seeing what we are doing. And I want to take 2 minutes for all of you who have not necessarily been able to follow the first 4 days of the World Food Forum, where we had the From Seeds to Food. And we brought products and innovation and science, and experts from around the world came to share that with the Italian population, with each other, because FAO is a place where everyone meets and shares the knowledge through museum, through the work that we do. We'll take 2 minutes, no, less than 2 minutes, sorry, 30 seconds, to see what these 4 days were like. And we'd like to thank, of course, our host country, because there was a beautiful kickoff with the Italian Carabinieri parachute jump. You will see that on the image, and then we will proceed to thank officially and formally our host country. Please.
From the seeds to the food is more than a title. It represents the full story of agribusiness, from first seeds planted 1,000 years ago to the latest innovations in crops, livestock, forestry, fishery, and aquaculture that will nourish generations to come.
This installation, we are showcasing an example of protected cultivation.
What is the Seed Vault, you might ask? Well, Seed Vault is where humanity is saving seeds for future generations.
as you will have seen, living in a place and sharing with the community in the place is absolutely critical. This is one of the things that we like to do, is to give back, and also to be able to educate and to go forward with the next generation.
And for those of you like me who have known this building and its grounds, FAO headquarters, for so many years, you will no doubt have seen careful and impressive transformations over the past year. For this transformation, we give our thanks and our deep, deep gratitude to our wonderful since 1981. Thank you.
As some of you may not have had the opportunity to walk around the grounds and see the transformation, stay with us 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. I keep saying 2 minutes, but less than 2 to walk around the grounds and transformation. Stay with us 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. I keep saying 2 minutes, but less than 2 minutes to see in rapid motion what has transformed. Renovation and transformation take their various forms, and it is from outside but also from within. I'd like to show you also that we have had 43 different rooms that have been renovated by many of you members here with us today. It has also made that we are more agile as FAO on the ground. They have been upgraded to the state-of-the-art technology, and we are able to deliver on the ground what we are meant to do in the service of others. Dick, you actually benefit from these rooms while you are in Afghanistan. What is the kind of work that comes out of this?
Yeah, I think I've been working in country offices and leading teams, including the incredible These rooms are the hub for us. Only 2 weeks ago, the internet, telephones were cut off across the country. But the first thing that we do as part of our resilience framework is come together with headquarters, regional and country teams in these rooms where the technology, the state-of-the-art technology, allows us to make real-time decision-making happen.
Thank you, Richard. And from here, we're going to transit to the fact that we will hopefully be able to show all of the people who come to visit FAO, the work that's done on the ground from the museum. Monique, you have seen the museum, parts of the museum, but I think we'll share a few minutes, a few seconds, I'm going to say, of the video of what to expect of the museum. The Director General this morning had inaugurated it and unveiled it with the President of the Republic, Sergio Mattarella, and many of you are going to see it later today. This is what learning and sharing is about, and we'd like to thank our host country, Italy, for being able to make this happen.
For 80 years and counting, FAO has been working to build a food-secure world. On the 16th of October 2025, FAO's 80th anniversary and World Food Day, a new chapter begins. The Food and Agriculture Museum and Network brings FAO's mission closer to you. Through art, knowledge, and educational experiences, cultural diplomacy engages a global audience and shows how we all shape the future of food. For nearly 3 years, hundreds of days, and countless hours, creativity has filled FAO headquarters, bringing the leading vision of this special initiative to life. Art directors, designers, writers, and digital specialists worked with passion and dedication alongside engineers, architects, security, IT, and logistics experts, together with librarians, photographers, and videographers, to craft a unique space for sharing knowledge, traditions, and innovation from FAO members, offices, and experts around the world. Then, artists, artisans, and skilled hands have helped to shape the soul of this project. FAO Mune is a new kind of journey, a space that educates, inspires, and drives action for food. Made possible with the support of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and a wide network of partners, FAO Mune is a living space where ideas spark action. Explore, learn, act.
This museum has been a true vision of our Director General, and it's wonderful that this morning it was inaugurated with the President of the Republic of Italy. We also have a video message to mark the 80th World Food Day from the President of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Xi Jinping, which will be delivered by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs of China, His Excellency Mr. Han Zhong, who I believe is here today to deliver the message on behalf of the President. Thank you very much.
尊敬的屈冬玉总干事、各位贵宾、各位朋友、各位同事、女士们、先生们，大家上午好。在联合国粮农组织成立80周年之际，中华人民共和国习近平主席专致贺信，受中国政府委托，现在我敬重宣读习近平主席贺信。贺信值此联合国粮食及农业组织成立80周年之际，我谨致以热烈祝贺。联合国粮食及农业组织是粮农领域具有广泛影响力的国际组织，肩负人皆有粮的崇高使命，为保障世界粮食安全、推动乡村发展和粮食体系转型、提高各国人民生活水平发挥了重要作用。中国政府高度重视粮食安全，坚持依靠自身解决好14亿多人口的吃饭问题，并向有需要的国家提供力所能及的帮助，为保障世界粮食安全贡献了 中国力量，中国将一如既往支持联合国粮食及农业组织在国际粮农领域发挥重要作用，愿同国际社会携手落实全球发展倡议，推进联合国2030年可持续发展议程，推动构建人类命运共同体，为增进各国人民福祉做出新的更大贡献。中华人民共和国主席习近平2025年10月16日。女士们、先生们、朋友们，习近平主席在贺信中高度赞扬了粮农组织成立80年来取得的巨大成就，就加强全球粮农治理、保障世界粮食安全发出号召倡议，充分彰显了中国推动构建人类命运共同体的坚定决心和历史担当。中方将认真贯彻落实习近平主席贺信精神，全面践行全球发展倡议、全球安全倡议、全球文明倡议、全球治理倡议，与粮农组织等各方共同努力，为创造一个零饥饿世界而不懈奋斗。80年前，面对战后满目疮痍的世界和各国人民对消除饥饿的迫切需要，粮农组织应运而生。80年来，粮农组织始终致力于解决全球性粮食问题，广泛凝聚各方共识，积极协调全球资源，扎实推进国际合作，为保障全球粮食安全、提高全世界人民生活水平做出了重要贡献。
Dr. Chu Dongyu, since taking the office of Director General, has led FAO with bold reforms and innovative actions, guided by the strategic vision of better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. And all FAO staff for their dedication and service. China, as the world's largest developing country and a responsible major state, China has always been a steadfast supporter and an active participant in global food and agricultural development. We have prioritized food security as the foremost task of state governance, thoroughly implementing the national food security strategy of prioritizing domestic production, ensuring production capacity, maintaining appropriate imports, and leveraging scientific and technological support. In 2024, China's grain output surpassed 700 million tons for the first time, with per capita availability reaching 500 kilograms. Our self-sufficiency rate for cereals exceeds 95%, and for wheat and rice, it stands at 100%. Basically, we have achieved self-sufficiency, and with just 9% of the world's arable land and 6% of its freshwater resources, China feeds over 1.4 billion people, firmly holding our rice bowls in our own hands. At the same time, we are making an extraordinary contribution to global food security. Guided by a people-centered philosophy, China has made historic progress in poverty alleviation. Since reform and opening up, over 800 million people have been lifted out of poverty, accounting for more than 70% of global poverty reduction. Since the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, we have mobilized the entire nation to implement targeted poverty alleviation. In 2020, we won the battle against poverty and built a moderately prosperous society in all respects, achieving the poverty reduction goals in the UN 2030 agenda 10 years ahead of schedule. Over the past century, under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, our nation has journeyed from liberation to securing adequate food and clothing, from basic to moderate prosperity, and from overcoming poverty to advancing modernization with Chinese characteristics. China's development has made significant contributions to global poverty reduction. We have also courageously shouldered our international responsibilities in pursuit of shared global goals. China has contributed $130 million to establish the FAO China South-South Cooperation Trust Fund, promoting international exchange and cooperation in agriculture technology. Under the FAO South-South Cooperation Framework, China is the largest contributor of financial assistance, experts, and projects. Hybrid rice from China has been introduced to nearly 70 countries across 5 continents, while the Juncao technologies have taken root in over 100 countries. These efforts have helped many developing nations enhance agricultural productivity, providing strong support for the shared goal of a world free from hunger and malnutrition. We actively participate in and promote the strengthening of global food and agricultural governance. As a founding member of FAO, China has consistently upheld genuine multilateralism, safeguarded FAO's central role in global food and agriculture governance, fulfilled its international obligations, contributed public goods, and promoted the establishment of fair and equitable agriculture trade rules. Furthermore, we've supported the GS initiative and worked with all members to build a more just, rational, and effective global governance system for food and agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, ensuring food security remains an enduring challenge for all nations. Amid today's complex global landscape, extreme weather events and geopolitical tensions pose severe threats to global food security. Achieving the zero hunger goal under the UN 2030 agenda requires stronger consensus and collective actions from the international community. Allow me to share 3 points for your consideration. First, we should enhance communication and deepen practical cooperation. We need to strengthen multilateral and bilateral exchanges at the government level, focusing on agricultural production, technological innovation, and smallholder development to contribute to global food security. China stands ready to deepen mutually beneficial agricultural cooperation, enhance policy coordination and technology sharing, and promote trade to build resilient and sustainable food supply chains. We also hope to strengthen cooperation on poverty reduction, sharing China's successful experiences to help more developing countries find pathways suited to their national realities. Together, we will advance the global poverty reduction process and contribute to building a community with a shared future for mankind, free from poverty and characterized by common development. Second, we should increase investment in diversity cooperation mechanisms. Eliminating hunger and malnutrition requires substantial financial and technological inputs. The international community should step up investment in agri-food systems and accelerate the dissemination of advanced technologies and equipment to countries of the Global South. We hope that developed countries will honor their commitments by providing greater financial and technological support, while developing countries contribute according to their capacities. Third, we should leverage platforms to improve global food and agriculture governance. We support FAO in playing an even greater role in international food and agricultural governance and advancing reform of the global governance system. This includes enhancing the representation and voice of developing countries, strengthening the effectiveness of existing mechanisms, and coordinating efforts to place food security at the heart of the global agenda. Together, we can write a new chapter in global food and agriculture governance and raise food security to new heights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Han, for delivering the wise and strong message of congratulation from President Xi. Now, it is my very, very great pleasure to invite His Excellency Antonio Tajani, Deputy Prime Minister of Italy and Minister of Foreign Affairs, to the podium. Your Excellency. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Majesty, Majestad, General Director, it is an honor for us to host in Italy, in Rome, a very important institution. Our honor. Per noi italiani la lotta contro la fame deve essere sempre più una priorità. Dobbiamo accendere riflettori su quelle parti del mondo dove noi, paesi ricchi, nonostante i nostri problemi, le nostre difficoltà, possiamo e dobbiamo fare molto. Lo spreco alimentare, gli orrori anche di vecchie colonizzazioni, il cambiamento climatico, sono tanti i motivi che non permettono a miliardi di persone non vivere come potrebbero e come dovrebbero, come sarebbe loro diritto, perché è un diritto innato nell'uomo che ci viene da Dio per i credenti o ci viene dalla natura per i non credenti. Il diritto a mangiare, il diritto alla vita. Ecco perché non possiamo in questo momento di guerre non fare tutto ciò che è possibile per alleviare la sofferenza del popolo gazawi. Ci sono centinaia di migliaia di donne e bambini che soffrono la fame. Ci sono stati e ci saranno, se non interverremo rapidamente, morti per fame. Ecco perché è giusto che si apra la porta di Rafah, che possano entrare centinaia di tir e l'Italia farà la sua parte dopo aver già inviato oltre 2.500 tonnellate di beni alimentari alla popolazione di Gaza in questi anni è pronta ad inviare altre 100 tonnellate nei prossimi giorni. Sarà per noi la più grande operazione umanitaria e siamo anche pronti a continuare ad accogliere bambini malati, molti sono vittime della carenza alimentare, ad accoglierli nel nostro Paese così come abbiamo fatto fino ad oggi, ne accoglieremo nei prossimi giorni altri. Questo per noi è un dovere e sono fiero di poter dire che l'Italia è uno dei paesi al mondo, insieme a tanti altri paesi musulmani, ad aver accolto il maggior numero di bambini con i loro familiari e di rifugiati da Gaza nel nostro Paese, che vogliamo curare nei nostri migliori ospedali. E sono lieto di annunciare di aver nominato proprio il rappresentante permanente presso la FAO, l'ambasciatore Archi, inviato speciale per la ricostruzione di Gaza, con attenzione anche agli aspetti umanitari. Il governo italiano è pronto a fare la sua parte. Diceva Papa Leone XIV, sono importanti, ma poi bisogna trasformare le dichiarazioni in atti concreti.
Turn them into concrete action, into daily political choices, not just on days of celebration as we commemorate the 80th anniversary of FAO, and this is an organization we wish to continue to fight for so that we can support all of its endeavors across the world. With FAO, we will continue to do so. We have been working with the World Food Programme for years to alleviate the suffering of Gaza's people. Let's also work to alleviate the suffering of the people of Ukraine who have been bearing the brunt of an unfair war for many years. We do not want more people to suffer from hunger there as a result of the war. A resolution for the UN General Assembly for an Olympic truce, as Italy will be hosting the Winter Olympics in Milan and Cortina next year. It would be very important for us to have the support of all your countries. It is a tradition to have this ceasefire, but it's important that we do so differently this time. Every day, we shed light on the war in the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, and also spotlight a dramatic reality that we do not often discuss. We must thousands namely drought-resistant plants. This would allow Africa's people to continue to have farmland
Queen Letizia of Spain, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellency Dr. Xu Dongyu, FAO Director General, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as always, it is a great privilege and honor to address you today as we commemorate the World Food Day and celebrate the 80th anniversary of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. This occasion invites us to reflect on 8 decades of progress in the fight against hunger, malnutrition, and poverty, and to renew our collective commitment to a world where every person, everywhere, enjoys a healthy diet. I am honored to continue the long-standing collaboration with FAO, and in particular, to reaffirm the strong partnership with the Director General, whose visionary leadership has consistently championed nutrition as a cornerstone of sustainable development. The newly released State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World of 2025 delivers a sobering message. While modest progress has been made in reducing global hunger, thanks to our collective efforts, 673 million people still face hunger, representing 8.2% of the world's population. At the same time, 2.6 billion people, nearly 1 in 3 globally, cannot afford a healthy diet. The situation is most critical in low-income countries, where 2 out of every 3 people cannot afford a healthy diet. Across all regions, the double burden of malnutrition persists. Undernutrition and micronutrient deficiencies exist alongside rising rates of overweight, obesity, diet-related non-communicable diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, in Africa, the picture remains dire and demands urgent, accelerated action. In 2024, the prevalence of undernourishment surpassed 20%, meaning more than 1 in 5 Africans, approximately 307 million people, are chronically hungry. That same year, 2/3 of Africa's population could not afford a healthy diet, more than double the global average. The number of people unable to afford such a diet rose to over 1 billion, an increase of 71.2 million since 2022. Africa fell short on achieving the Malabo targets of 2025, particularly the goal of ending hunger and all forms of malnutrition. As the continent transitions to the post-Malabo era, renewed focus is needed to accelerate progress towards the 2030 Global Nutrition and Sustainable Development Goals. Without decisive action, Africa risks remaining off track to meet these commitments. While child stunting has modestly declined in some areas, rates remain above 30% in many countries. Anemia affects more than 35% of women of reproductive age. Meanwhile, overweight and obesity are rising rapidly, especially in urban areas, fueling a surge in diet-related illnesses such as diabetes and hypertension. Like His Holiness, I also say that these figures are not just statistics. They represent lives, families, and futures. Hunger today is not caused by global food scarcity, but by conflict, climate shocks, economic inequality, and fragile food systems. Hunger is therefore not inevitable. It requires concerted effort and total commitment from all stakeholders to address the root causes. At the same time, we must remember that food and nutrition are not necessarily the same things. Many people eat food of some kind that removes the feeling of hunger and yet still be malnourished because they are not getting the vitamins, minerals, and nutrition they need to be healthy. Good nutrition is a non-negotiable requirement for each of us in this room, especially for children who need it to build strong brains and immune systems. That is why we must take every opportunity to ensure people have access to healthy diets and nutrition services at every phase of their lives. This year's World Food Day theme, Hand in Hand for Better Food and a Better Future, challenges us to reimagine and transform our agri-food systems to deliver sufficient, safe, and nutritious food for all, produced sustainably and equitably. It is a call to action, urging governments, financial institutions, businesses, civil society, and communities to commit to collective efforts backed by sufficient investment. Good nutrition is the foundation for education, productivity, economic growth, and human dignity. As FAO Special Ambassador for Nutrition, I carry a personal responsibility to advocate for inclusive, nutrition-sensitive policies. This role involves amplifying the voice of those most affected by malnutrition and ensuring that global commitments are upheld and translate into tangible improvements in people's lives. No country is immune to malnutrition, and no nation can achieve the SDGs without addressing it. However, the challenges vary by region, shaped by local, economic, environmental, and social realities. Africa has shown leadership in its efforts to contain malnutrition. The African Union's Africa Leaders for Nutrition Initiative, the Abidjan Declaration, and the Karab Malabo and Kampala Declarations have placed nutrition firmly on the development agenda. The Karab nutrition targets commit us to reducing stunting to 10% or less, eliminating child wasting, halving anemia in women, and halting the rise in overweight. The recently adopted Kampala Karab strategy reinforces this vision, placing nutrition at the heart of inclusive, resilient, and sustainable food systems. I commend FAO's strong support in developing this strategy and ensuring that nutrition is integrated and tracked across all levels. Recent global and regional platforms, such as the UN Food Systems Summit and the African Union's Nutrition for Growth dialogues, have reaffirmed the urgency of coordinated action and acknowledged Africa's leadership in nutrition-sensitive development. In Lesotho, we have aligned our national strategies with FAO's vision. Our efforts to integrate nutrition into agricultural planning, strengthen school feeding programs, and promote climate-resilient crops demonstrate our commitment to ensuring that all segments of society are part of the solution. However, political commitments must be matched by investment. At global and regional, we must increase and better target financing for nutrition. Mobilizing domestic resources, international funding, and private sector engagement is essential. Well-structured public-private partnerships can align commercial incentives with public health goals, generating sustainable solutions that make healthy diets affordable and accessible. In this regard, the FAO-led Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum remains a crucial platform for prioritizing nutrition-sensitive investments and making healthy diets a viable business opportunity. We must also invest in innovation, research, data, and evidence generation to strengthen the capacity of stakeholders, inform national policies, and design locally tailored solutions. Innovation, in particular, is a central driving force that will transform agri-food systems and ensure access to healthy, nutritious diets for millions across the continent. I'm pleased to note that FAO is leading efforts to support African countries in embracing innovation and research as tools for transforming agri-food systems to deliver better nutrition for all. Supporting smallholder farmers, especially women, to grow diverse, nutrient-rich crops, promoting traditional foods, and developing value chains that connect producers to consumers are critical. Women and youth must be empowered as key actors in this transformation. Removing the barriers they face is essential to unlocking their potential in food production, access, and consumption. Nutrition-sensitive social protection systems must also be strengthened to ensure that vulnerable populations, especially children, pregnant and lactating women, have reliable access to nutritious food, essential services, and livelihoods opportunities. These investments build human capital, break the cycle of poverty and malnutrition, and are vital for inclusive, resilient societies. As FAO celebrates 80 years of service, its strategic framework, better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, offers a powerful global call to action. Our task now is to accelerate implementation and ensure that no one is left behind, whether in a remote rural village or the heart of a megacity. World Food Day is more than a commemoration. It is a call to action. Let us honor this day by renewing our commitment. Governments, civil society, the private sector, academia, and international organizations to work hand in hand to transform our agri-food systems and make healthy diets a reality for all. As we look to the future, I pledge to continue working alongside FAO, member states, and all stakeholders to build a world where every child grows up nourished, every farmer thrives, and every community flourishes. This is not just a vision. It is a moral imperative. If we succeed, we will not only improve lives today, but we will secure a healthier, more resilient, and more equitable future for generations to come. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Our next speaker has been an FAO Special Goodwill Ambassador for Nutrition since 2015. She demonstrates an unwavering commitment to food and nutrition security and advocating for sustainable agri-food systems. It is now my distinct, true honor to welcome Her Majesty, Queen Letizia of Spain.
How is your patience? Good morning, buongiorno, buenos días. Director General.
Good morning, good afternoon. Director General of FAO, heads of state, authorities, ministers, special greetings to all of FAO's staff as we celebrate FAO's anniversary. We'll be hearing this many times over the course of this morning, and it has been said already today. We are here to celebrate, but also to renew our commitments. It would be fitting to begin by thanking all those who for 80 years now have ensured that FAO continue to be a technical authority and preserve its political legitimacy, and that its founding values continue to serve as our essential guiding light. It might seem easy, but it's difficult to achieve, that we must keep doing our utmost to improve the lives of the 700 million people who have no food at all. That's still true. And some 3 billion people who cannot afford a healthy diet. The figures vary. We face complex times where those principles that we believed were unshakable when the UN system was founded, principles such as multilateralism, as we've heard, development cooperation, the link between financing and social justice, or the belief that food is an inalienable human right. Of course, food must be adequate, sufficient, sustainable, and healthy. And of course, we must reduce, to the extent possible, the consumption of ultra-processed foods, as recommended by the WHO. I hope you will forgive me if I go through some of the reasons behind the despair expressed by FAO and other UN agencies. First, hunger remains a weapon of war in some parts of the world and is still an open wound. Second, some sectors of civil society report corporate concentration within some food systems. Third, we know this off by heart, food waste. 1/3 of food ends up in the garbage. Fourth, droughts, floods, desertification, extreme weather events caused by climate change that most affect those who have the least, the most vulnerable, and, as if by chance, always end up suffering the most. Fourth or fifth, those who are the backbone of family farming, of childcare, of the management of household diets, women, ladies and gentlemen, continue to face inequalities in access to resources, credit, education, and technology. And six reasons for despair and hopelessness: protracted wars, geopolitical tensions, forced migration, price volatility, and biodiversity loss. That growing number, especially among young people with overweight and obesity. With this snapshot before us, I will circle back to where I began. We must hold steady and reconnect with hope, remembering what's been achieved in the last 80 years, remembering that FAO still boasts a highly qualified, extraordinary expert body in many countries where it works on the ground. Spain is very committed to working with FAO. We work to achieve sustainable food systems, to strengthen the work of parliamentarians in Latin America. We also build, as I was saying, more sustainable food systems. We're also working in conflict-affected areas where necessary, making available specialists and technical know-how. I'd like to conclude by quoting the King of Spain, mentioning what he stated at the most recent UN General Assembly. The dignity of the human being is not negotiable. That dignity can only be upheld if we place the rights of individuals at the core of food policies. Now, please, if anyone can think of a better way forward than working through multilateral cooperation to ensure that people have adequate food, please come up here and tell us what that might be. In the meantime, we will have to keep working with the utmost goodwill, with a view to cooperating with, supporting, caring for, and striving to help those who struggle most. His Holiness the Pope said it just now. Let's look to other people's suffering as our own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty, for those very inspiring words for generations and young girls and boys for the future. Thank you so much. It is also a great pleasure for me to now introduce Her Royal Highness Princess Basma bint Ali of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, who has been a very distinguished goodwill ambassador with us, protecting and looking towards sustainable solutions for food security and climate challenges around the globe, and particularly in her region. سمو الملكي تفضلي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Director General, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to the FAO for inviting me to be part of this very important celebration of 80 years working towards food security for all. It is truly an honor and great pleasure to be amongst you, most especially with the highly esteemed guests. Today, we gather not just as participants in the World Food Forum, but members of a global current, a current that dares to imagine a future where hunger becomes a thing of the past, where food systems are equitable, resilient, and sustainable, where science and innovation are pragmatic solutions, and where women, youth, indigenous peoples, and local communities become an integral part of the governance system. We stand at a defining moment in human history. Never before have we, or rather our food systems, faced such complex, interwoven challenges. Climate change continues to threaten harvests, not as a distant risk, but as a daily reality. Rising temperatures are disrupting planting seasons. Unpredictable rainfall and prolonged droughts are leaving once fertile fields dry and unproductive, as I can attest from my region. While in other regions, floods and storms now arrive with greater force, frequency, wiping out entire crops overnight. For millions of smallholder farmers who actually feed the majority of the world's population, these shifts are not just environmental, they are existential. Their harvests are their hope and their livelihoods. So as the climate grows more unstable, hunger spreads across borders, exasperating the situation, not only in their communities, but across the global supply chain, placing greater pressure on governments to alleviate the situation. Furthermore, around the world, conflict is tearing apart food systems from the ground up. Wars and regional instability are displacing millions, as we have heard, not only from their homes, but from their farmland, their markets, and their communities. In areas under siege or occupation, as His Holiness mentioned, food becomes a weapon, stripped from being a basic right. It becomes a tool of control. Nowhere is this more painfully visible than in Gaza, where families are facing catastrophic levels of food insecurity. Birthplaces have been destroyed, farmland has been decimated, access to clean water and humanitarian corridors remain fragile and severely restricted, including food deliveries. And hunger is used to weaken the will of an entire population. For countless families, the struggle is no longer about nutrition. It is about sheer survival, of which one too many children have paid the ultimate price by losing their life. In the face of this crisis, countries like Jordan have stepped up with courage and compassion. organizing humanitarian airdrops of food and medical supplies, advocating for safe aids access, and reminding the world of our shared responsibility to protect civilians. Jordan's leadership is a powerful example of what it means to act when lives are on the line, to turn empathy into action. And here I would like to thank Italy and all those other countries who have also supported this effort. Globally, approximately 735 million people go to bed hungry each night, even as 1.3 billion tons of food are lost or wasted every year. Hunger today is not due to lack of food, but a lack of access. Economic inequality forces families to choose between food and other essentials, while women and marginalized communities face the greatest barriers. At the same time, massive food waste across supply chains fuels emissions and squanders precious resources. Reducing this waste is one of the fastest, most effective ways to relieve pressure on food systems and feed more people, without needing to grow more. Yet in the midst of these global challenges, there is also a surge of hope. And as His Majesty, King of Lesotho, had said, this year is the Jubilee Year of Hope. Communities are organizing, youth are innovating, farmers are adapting, indigenous people and local communities are reclaiming their food sovereignty. Governments and institutions are beginning to align, and here at the World Food Forum, we are creating space, not just to talk, but to act. I would like to remind ourselves that hope is not passive, it demands work. Over the past few days, this forum has hosted voices from every corner of the globe. Humanity leaders, scientists, and startups with innovations that defy expectations, from AI-assisted agriculture to nature-based solutions rooted in centuries of indigenous wisdom, such as, and I'm very proud to say, one of the 4 new UN Decade on Ecological Restoration flagships from Jordan's Royal Botanic Garden, the Collaborative Rangeland Restoration Program, where we achieved the 4 Bs, and many of the SDGs, including SDG 13, Climate Action, 15, Life on Land, and 2, Zero Hunger. At the World Food Forum, we also see youth challenge conventions and offer alternatives. And above all, the networking and the mingling is where the opportunities lie, because the solutions we seek are not in one room, not in one country, not in one discipline. They are in all of us. In conclusion, allow me to reiterate an expression that Dan Lamb from the Arbor Foundation mentioned in yesterday's first International Green Cities Conference. It's not about the splash, but rather the ripple effect that we can travel far beyond the pole. Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we must act with unprecedented urgency and unity. Let me be clear. Food system transformation is not a luxury. It's not optional. It is the very foundation of our shared future. And while the challenges are immense, they are not insurmountable. We have the knowledge, we have the technology, and we have the will, as exemplified by you being here today. What we need now is collective action, And the World Food Forum is where the action begins. In closing, I want to remind us all, behind, as Your Majesty mentioned, behind every statistic is a story with real people and real lives. Behind every challenge, an opportunity, and behind every action is a choice. So let us choose to turn the 4 Bs, better production, better nutrition, better environment, better life, from a slogan to reality, knowing with full certainty that as each and every one of us leaves this world, we take nothing, but leave the ripple of our decisive action. So let us follow the example of Jordan, acting swiftly, selflessly, and with the understanding that no crisis is ever too distant to demand our humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Your Royal Highness, and thank you for being such a strong leader and role model in your country, in your region, and far, far beyond. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome and to invite His Excellency Yamandor Orsi Martinez, President of Uruguay, to the podium to deliver his World Food Day message. Thank you, Mr. President. Muchas gracias.
Quiero saludar.
I'd like to start by greeting the Director General, Chu Dong-yu. Your Majesties, Your Majesty King of Lesotho, Your Majesty Queen of Spain, Your Royal Highness Princess of Jordan, ministers, authorities, and may I also greet everybody who doesn't realize that it is World Food Day, but they're nevertheless working the soil as they do every day and suffering what the weather throws at them to make sure that we get food on our plates. I would like to greet all those people, and we must recognize the work of those people in every corner of the world, working on a daily basis without knowing how far this food is going to reach, and it is this food that we should recognize. We want Fiat Panis is the slogan of FAO, and this is what underlies the foundation of this organization, which was set up 80 years ago, going back to 1945, when the first United Nations Conference on Food and Agriculture took place. And years after that, a decision was taken to have World Food Day, calling for a world free of malnutrition and free from hunger. And that initial conference embodied the huge task of achieving something which is so basic for humanity, that is to say, its agriculture and its food production. And here we are 80 years down the road. And the right to food is a universal human right. It is a vital pillar on the path towards full dignity. And our nations are convinced that via the SDGs, we have reiterated our commitments as countries to put an end to China, to Hungary, once and for all. And this is absolutely vital to achieve sustainable development on a sustainable basis. Unfortunately, these goals have not yet been fully achieved, and hunger and malnutrition, despite the FAO's efforts, nevertheless, we're talking about millions and millions of people who don't enjoy food security and who in 2024 still suffered from malnutrition and hunger. So we need to realize what the main causes are of food insecurity, which force people to leave their homes, and because they don't have access to proper food. There's the question of proper funding of development, which is vital. And these efforts have improved food production in critical moments and in critical parts of the world, trying to put an end to food insecurity. But we must take note, inter alia, of the impact of climate change on food security, given the extreme climate phenomena which have become more frequent and the question of disease which crosses borders. The United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, indicated very explicitly that hunger in the 21st century is something which cannot be excused. Millions of people are being left out, and we're talking about people who suffer hunger for months, years, and sometimes for their entire lives, and we cannot continue to accept this. 80 years ago, the United Nations underlined the importance of tackling this matter. But given the crises and complex problems that we face, we must make sure that we tackle hunger alongside other problems which face us. We must overcome all these difficulties. And I think I'm right in saying that a planet free of hunger would be part of our commitment to multilateralism. And hand in hand, for better foods and a better future, moving forward to a sustainable solution. America Latina and the Caribbean, especially my own country, Uruguay, are determined to be part of this solution. We want high-quality food in sufficient quantities for our communities and beyond our borders. In Uruguay, we produce high-quality food, and we are producing food for our entire population and for people beyond our borders. We have a critical capital that we need to draw on in order to put an end to hunger. Uruguay can and must respond to challenges of food security, and we need to make our contribution to international trade in this connection. It is vital for us to take these steps in order to combat hunger. And I would like to stress that we see the importance of cooperation in order to achieve these goals. I would also like to say that cooperation between our peoples is key, and hand in hand with FAO, we can take these steps in order to achieve these ends. We need to identify resources. We need to see the difficulties that people feel, and we need initiatives in order to be able to put an end to hunger and poverty amongst our most vulnerable populations. We therefore need to see an updating of our food plans, and in particular the work being done by CELAC in this regard. This brings together 33 countries from Latin America and Caribbean. This was in 2024, and this is part of an effort to build a regional consensus against hunger and malnutrition. And this is our response in Latin America and the Caribbean to achieve international goals established in Agenda 2030, and which we supported in our commitment in Seville this year. In addition, Uruguay, along with CELAC and its efforts, means that we can move forward to build bridges and build consensus and achieve results within our lifetime. And in Uruguay, we intend to continue to make enormous efforts in this regard. As the FAO celebrates its 80th anniversary, we look back over the last 80 years and we can reiterate what inspired us to set up this organization and express the hope that fiat panis will become a reality, because ultimately the people who are suffering from hunger are our brothers and sisters, and on the basis of our understanding that everyone is, we are all brothers and sisters, this will allow us to overcome hunger finally. Thank you.
This year's United Nations General Assembly underscored that we can only achieve the SDGs by working better together. And we are so grateful for Secretary General Antonio Guterres for his leadership towards a more just and sustainable world. It is my pleasure to introduce his World Food Day message.
8 years ago, in a world ravaged by war, countries came together to defeat hunger. In the decades since, the world has made dramatic advances. Yet recent crises demonstrate that we cannot drop our guard if we are to sustain these gains. We have the tools, knowledge and resources to end hunger and provide good, healthy food to all. What we need is unity. Today around the world, 673 million people still go to bed hungry every night. Many more face daily uncertainty about their next meal. Global progress is far too slow and in some regions reversing. New challenges have emerged over the decades, from soaring obesity to climate shocks threatening food security. Shamefully, hunger is being weaponized. We face the appalling reality of people in conflict situations being starved, with famine taking hold. This year's World Food Day theme, Hand in Hand for Better Foods and a Better Future, is a call for solidarity across borders, sectors and communities. This echoes the priorities voiced by countries at the Food System Summit Stockade in July and the United Nations Call to Action, which identifies 6 key areas for action. Let us respond. Let us come together once again to build food systems that nourish people and protect the planet.
Better together in solidarity, and how best to do that but with our Rome-based agency colleagues. Thank you very much for being here. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Donald Brown, who is here for IFAD president, who unfortunately could not be here with us. Thank you very much. The stage is yours.
Excellencies, Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, Heads of State, friends and colleagues. Today we gather to celebrate building a better future, one that is represented by access to healthy and sustainable food. This is a future in which no one goes hungry and in which food systems nourish people, protect the planet and support prosperity. Building this future is not a question of affordability, it's a question of determination and collective action. So that's why IFAD is proud to play our part and has pledged to reach 70 million small-scale food producers to significantly transform their lives by increasing their incomes, productive capacity and market access by 2030. This ambition reflects our conviction that smallholders are not only vital for food security, but are partners we can invest in to deliver sustainable growth. We know who feeds the world, and that is the small and medium farmers who are the backbone of food security. They are the heart of rural communities, and in their work to transform food systems and rural economies, they are the engines of economic growth and political stability. Yet poverty is also most concentrated where they live. So investing in small producers' access to finance, technology, markets, climate-resilient practices can make a real difference. These investments increase productivity, create jobs for young people and women, and strengthen economies, and we know it works. IFAD's intervention has demonstrated a triple impact, delivering more than 1/3 higher incomes, 1/3 greater harvests, and 1/3 better access to markets. These are just not numbers. These are lives, these are people, these are lives changed, families strengthened, and communities transformed. But we're here today because we know we must all do much more. The system needs to come together. We must work together to tackle fragmentation and collaborate to deliver scalable solutions. And we need to work with the private sector as a true partner, as IFAD has done for decades, by de-risking rural investments and investing in small and medium enterprises to grow rural jobs and opportunity. IFAD stands ready to play its part. We act as an integrated investment platform for rural people, connecting, assembling, and catalyzing finance through partnerships with governments, development banks, and private investors. With almost 50 years of experience, IFAD channels resources where they're most needed. And that is especially important in today's constrained financial context. And the need is urgent. Rural communities are under pressure. More than 2 billion people are moderately or severely food insecure. Climate shocks are increasing. So we must be smart, we must be strategic, and we must be united. So, as we continue to build partnerships, we reaffirm the role of governments in prioritizing rural transformation and the private sector to help scale the investments that we know we need and will deliver the returns. Investing in agriculture and rural development is a smart investment in prosperity, stability, and peace. And when we work hand in hand with governments, with the private sector, and most of all with rural people, we can build a future where food systems nourish people, sustain our planet, and create prosperity for all. And finally, I would just like to take this opportunity to congratulate FAO on their 80th year's anniversary. IFAD, just rising our 50 years, are just a mere youth in comparison to you, but we look forward to working with you over the next 80 years to provide food for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much indeed, Donal. Quite simply, the Rome-based agencies are stronger when we work together, and our impact. Regrettably, Cindy McCain, the Executive Director of the World Food Programme, cannot be with us here today, and I know that we all join her together in wishing her a quick and full recovery. Mr. Carl Scow, the Deputy Executive Director and Officer in charge of the World Food Programme, has kindly agreed to speak on her behalf today. Mr. Scow, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Your Majesties, Mr. President, Director General, Excellencies, colleagues and friends. It's an honor to represent the World Food Programme at this ceremony marking World Food Day. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate FAO on the 80th anniversary of its foundation and on its impressive achievements. This commemoration is a moment to take stock of the complex forces driving global hunger and food insecurity and how we can work together to tackle them. Today, severe hunger is spreading faster than our ability to respond, fueled by escalating conflicts, more frequent natural disasters, and widespread economic upheaval. According to the latest global report on food crisis, 295 million people in 53 countries faced acute hunger. While the recent ceasefire in Gaza offers much-needed hope, the fact that famine exists today in both Gaza and in Sudan is, as His Holiness rightly stated this morning, a collective failure. It's unprecedented and frankly unacceptable in 2025. And when millions are relying on the lifeline we provide, a deep drop in funding is forcing us to make impossible decisions about who gets help and who doesn't. 6 of our largest and most critical humanitarian operations are facing severe cuts by the end of this year, putting many lives at risk in Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Haiti, Somalia, South Sudan, and Sudan. Globally, the cuts we are being forced to implement could push another 13 million people into emergency levels of hunger. And furthermore, operating conditions for frontline humanitarian teams are becoming more complex and dangerous. 2024 was the deadliest year on record for humanitarian personnel, and this year is following that same trajectory. Excellencies, as we navigate this challenging new global landscape, partnerships are more important than ever. WFP, FAO, and IFAD are steadfast in our shared commitment to ensure that everyone has access to safe, affordable, nutritious food. Together, we are focusing on solutions that are innovative, scalable, rooted in local needs, and capable of delivering real impact, especially those with the potential to build lasting resilience and transform food systems. In WFP's role as a supporter of national school meals programs and as Secretariat of the School Meals Coalition, uniting over 100 governments and 140 partner organizations, we see every day how school meals made with locally grown ingredients transform lives and communities. They keep children, not least girls, in classrooms, strengthen local economies, and open doors to learning, health, and opportunity. Further, the Rome-based agencies are also working closely together to build resilience and reduce reliance on humanitarian aid through joint programs. The Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, an ambitious initiative launched in 2024 under Brazil's G20 presidency, is mobilizing national governments to lead bold efforts to end hunger and poverty through smarter policies and greater investments. It is receiving close and strategic support from the Rome-based agencies and has already developed a policy basket of evidence-based solutions for countries to adopt and secured billions in funding commitments. These are all examples that show that what we can achieve through collective action. Excellencies, our world is changing very fast. We must be agile and creative as we adopt in response to these rapid changes. And we must work together as partners, hand in hand, to achieve our shared vision of better foods and a better future for all. I thank you.
And now it is my extreme honor to welcome the person who anointed me the first ever United Nations Youth Champion for the International Year of Youth in 2010, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon.
Thank you for your warm introduction. Honorable Hu Donghui, Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Your Excellencies, Majesties, Highnesses, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like that I'm the last speaker, so I hope I'll give you some sense of relief and some feeling of achievement. So I'll try to be brief as much as possible. At the outset, ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply honored to address the FAO, a cornerstone of the United Nations system, at a time when our shared commitment to multilateralism is more than urgent than ever. Indeed, for 8 decades, since its establishment of the United Nations in 1945, the FAO has stood at the forefront of the global fight against hunger and malnutrition, working tirelessly to ensure that no one is left behind. Food is not only a human right, it is the very foundation of dignity, peace, and sustainable development. And for me, and for my country, Korea, this is not only a matter of policy, but of hard-lived experience. I grew up in Korea during a time of war and hardship. I knew what it meant to go to bed with a hungry stomach as bombs fell and families were forcibly displaced. And I also knew how the gift of food provided by the United Nations agencies, including FAO, UNICEF, UNDP, along with gave them great hope and dignity. I was just a 6-year-old child, and at that time, everybody knew that it was the United Nations. And at the core of the United Nations, 28 countries supported the Korean Peninsula at the time, and I am the real witness how this poverty and war has deep relationship. Therefore, it is absolutely necessary that United Nations and all the leaders of the political leaders of the world work for peace and stability before we talk about these food systems. That experience has left me, never left me, and it is why I believe so deeply in the FAO's guiding mission. The United Nations saved my country during the Korean War, as I said. The UN has therefore always meant a great deal to me personally, long before I became as Secretary General for 10 years. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, no nation can achieve food security alone. Climate change, conflict, economic shocks, and pandemic do not respect borders. Thus, multilateralism is not just an option. It is the only path forward to address these closely interconnected challenges. Food security is inherently interlinked with both peace and sustainable development. Quite simply, there is no food without peace, and vice versa. Yet, all around the world today, we see how conflict fuels hunger, and how hunger, in turn, deepens instability among and between the countries. From displaced families struggling to eat, to farmers cut off from their land, the human toll is devastating. But at this moment of increasing conflict and division, we must work together across borders and communities to break this cycle. Many speakers have talked that we must work together. And investing in food security is investing in peace. It is also investing in sustainable development and actively advancing progress on SDG 2, Zero Hunger. It is enhancing sustainable agri-food system, which means better health, better economies, and a better environment for all. In order for us to transform agri-food systems to be more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable, we must cooperate by ensuring diverse, nutritious, safe, and affordable food while protecting the planet's biodiversity and natural resources. To do so, dynamic partnership among governments, civil society, the private sector, farmers, indigenous peoples, the United Nations, and especially young people are vital. In addition, equality is central to achieving food security and sustainable development. And also, particularly, empowering women is both moral imperative and a practical necessity. It increases productivity, improves nutrition, and fosters resilience. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, with the FAO leadership and the solidarity of the international community, it is imperative that we turn food system into pillars of stability, dignity, and hope for all the people around the world. Let us reaffirm our commitment to multilateralism and solidarity. Let us recognize food as a bridge for peace and cooperation, not as a source of division. And let us work together across borders, across sectors, and across generations, and to build a world free of hunger, where sustainable food system nourish both people and planet. Today, the world looks to the FAO and to all of us to show that solidarity is stronger than scarcity, and that cooperation can triumph over conflict. Therefore, it's very important that we must work together and leave no one behind. Let us ensure that every child in every community has a right to a healthy meal and hope of a better future. Together with the courage and unity, we can transform the vision of zero hunger into a lasting reality for the present generation and our succeeding generations. My experience as Secretary General is that there is not a single country in this world, however powerful or resourceful one may be, Americans or Europeans, China. We must join all our hands on our deck together. That's the hard and important lessons which I have learned, and I'm now conveying to you. Let us work together. That's the only way we can save our humanity from succeeding generations. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you again to the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon.
Thank you very much for being here with us today on this very important day. The last segment, which we will take you out with, is 30 seconds long, no more. We would like to sincerely thank the Italian Posta Italiana, as well as the other colleagues who have created this for today's event. It is an FAO 80th anniversary stamp, which is issued today by the Posta Italiana.
Yes, and it's been made possible through a unique and wonderful partnership between FAO and the Italian government, in particular the Ministry of Enterprises and Made in Italy. And in this regard, I'd like to thank Undersecretary Fausto Bergamotto and also the president of the Istituto Poligrafico e Zecco dello Stato and the philately manager of Post Italiana. So thank you so much for this special commemorative stamp celebrating 80 years of FAO.
And you will see the video here, and we wish you all a very good rest of day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And last but not least, once the video has ended, if you could please remain seated whilst our special guests leave from the front row, and then please, thank you. You can all leave, and we'll see you back later this afternoon, inshallah. Thank you very much indeed.
Bow to everybody.